Hi guys, I thought I'd come back to you with an update and summarize my experience last weekend at LowCarb Breckenridge. Uh, as you know, I went out to Colorado last week for that conference, and my last update about a week ago was actually from the conference, but I wasn't able to do much after that update because it was just too busy and no time. Uh, about all I was able to do was I did do some tweeting, which is more convenient and easier to do. I tweeted out some comments and pictures while I was there, but yeah, I felt oddly compelled to go to this conference, and part of me, I didn't understand why. Um, I mean, I did understand why. I mean, I just have a real interest right now in diet and nutrition and intellectual pursuit of understanding more about what makes us tick inside in the terms of the diet. Um, and when I saw the advertisements for this low carb Breckenridge, it looked like a fantastic array of speakers. I was familiar with all these folks, or most of them, from watching the conferences on YouTube over the past several years. Uh, and I just, I wanted to experience it once, in addition to the intellectual curiosity, I wanted to experience what it's like to be there. I felt there'd probably be more to it and, more substance and more excitement. And, but then I hemmed and hawed. I looked at the expense, what are you thinking? Just watching on YouTube is so much cheaper. I went back and forth. I vacillated on this for some time, but I kept coming back to the fact that I wanted to go. And part of that was based on, I also had a feeling, I wasn't sure, but I had a feeling that my personal story might play a role, might be something that somebody want to know about. I wasn't sure of who or how, but being that I had lived actually and experienced a dramatic transformation over the past year and a half by diet, low carb diet, ketogenic style diet, I thought maybe my story would be of interest to somebody somehow. And like I said, I wasn't sure, but I thought it might be timely for me to go and share my story somehow. So this is what was in my mind when I decided to go out there. Um, but I was really not sure if it was going to be worth it or not. At the end of the day, I'll just summarize right up front that it was a fantastic experience. I'm so glad I decided to go. Uh, it was immensely satisfying from the intellectual side. I learned a lot, and I learned that there's a lot that I don't know that I want to know and I want to pursue. Also, from the standpoint of sharing my personal story, that was also something that was kind of exceeded beyond my wildest dreams. I mean, people are interested, and we're interested, and things happen that I couldn't have predicted. So, with that said, let me just say that I had originally thought I was going to do a talk by talk analysis and breakdown, but there's just no way. There was something like 27 talks, I believe, over the 3 days and 5 question and answer sessions. I can't get into specifics. I think I'm going to mention one in a little bit. That's about it. Um, just in general, I'm going to say that the quality of the speakers was very high. The timeliness of the presentations was high. Just comparing to the stuff I've seen in the past on YouTube, I would imagine this is one of the better conferences that have been held. And that seemed to be the opinion of not only of myself, but others who had attended previously. So the quality and quantity was very high of the entire program. It was pretty well put together, I'd have to say. I would recommend it in general. From an outsider's perspective, what I found beneficial about being there, there were several things I found beneficial. Number one is, I said, well, one option would be just watch it on YouTube later when they release the videos down the road. And after being there, I can say it was really so much different being there because I experienced the entire program from beginning to end. I was there with nothing else to do, so I watched every single presentation. I never would have done that on YouTube. I would have just picked and chosen at random based on either the title of the speech or the person who was giving the talk. I would have maybe watched at most maybe a half dozen on YouTube, but I would have missed a lot. There were hidden gems all the way through. And so that was really one big benefit of being there, to just see and listen to a talk that I never would have listened to on YouTube. But now I've found someone, a very interesting person who's got a very interesting subject that I knew nothing about and was well presented. I would say in general, there was only one talk which I really didn't care for, and I'm not going to say which one that was. It wasn't, there was just some agenda going on, and I'm not going to go into it. I don't want this to be a negative, I don't want to put a negative spin on any of it, but other than the one talk, they were all good. So I would recommend from that standpoint. Being there and seeing every single talk is much better than just seeing on YouTube, which I can do later anyway. The other thing about being there is the ability, of course, the personal interaction, the ability to ask questions live. They have live Q&As after 2 or 3 talks. There's a live Q&A with the panel. And I participated in that. At least 2 or 3 times I was up there at the mic asking questions. And in addition to that, the live Q&A, pretty much all of the speakers and experts were making themselves available before and after their talks, or just at any time, really. They were quite generous with their time. And if you could get in and get some time to ask a question, that is something, okay, I could never get that on YouTube. And so I was able to talk with many people that I admire, and kind of learn about them from having a personal interaction. And so that was very rewarding and a great experience. Another fun thing about it that I didn't think about ahead of time was just being in a room, and this was well attended. I mean, the room was pretty much filled for the most part. There was, I think, over 300 people in the audience, and then there was technicians and speakers, and it was packed. So what was I going to say? And to be surrounded by like-minded people is sort of fun. In my day-to-day life at the office or with people you talk to, they don't always quite understand, why you're doing this low carb, and certainly they don't understand when you say your carnivore diet. It's like, what, really? Well, why do you do that again? But in that room, boy, everybody's on the same page. You can just sort of say things. It's fun to be around like-minded people. And so the mingling with others, not only the presenters, but just meeting people from around the country, uh, around the world even, was stimulating, and that was fun. I made contacts with a number of folks, exchanged information. Just I'm talking about people in the audience, some very nice people. So the social aspect, I would say, was quite rewarding. So although there was of uh, a high quality in most all of the talks, I wanna I wanna just bullet point on one of them. There was a talk by Ben Bickman, excuse me, Ben Bickman. I believe the title is "Insulin versus Glucagon: The Case for Dietary Protein." When that becomes available, I recommend that everyone to see that one. It certainly was an eye opener for me. It answered questions and it gave me plenty to think about going forward. I want to understand this more. I've watched his video now since I've been home a couple more times, his presentation. Um, and frankly, that was not just my opinion. It seemed like everyone in the audience, including all the medical professionals that were there, which was, by the way, largely about 75% of the people there worked in the medical field some way or another. But yeah, Ben Bickman, insulin versus glucagon. Um, I had no idea how these hormones work. They both come from the pancreas, and they were kind of depending on the ratio, uh, do different things in different organs. And a lot of times you'll hear from the calories in, calories out people that, low carb or ketogenic diets in general, they just, people lose weight on those diets only because it helps them to achieve a caloric deficit. That there's no metabolic difference, that there's no metabolic advantage. But when you realize what's going on with insulin and glucagon, it blows that out of the water because there certainly is a difference. And especially in your fat cells, if insulin's in control or if glucagon is in control, it makes a huge difference. You're either storing fat or you're burning fat. And, I kind of knew that, but this kind of let me know the mechanisms a little bit better. Just, you got to see that talk, insulin versus glucagon, the case for dietary protein. That one is a must see. Now, I don't have time to mention all of them that I liked, but I just recommend when these things are released, watch them all if you can. There's certainly many good ones, but that one in particular. So like I said, I thought maybe my personal story would be something to share. And that really turned out to be true. From that aspect, it was a little bit overwhelming. As you know, I mentioned in my prior video, I had been approached by a diet doctor about filming a success story interview with them. And that took place. I did that on Sunday, last Sunday. And I think it will be available, they said, maybe within 30 days. It's a little different format from their prior success story interviews. They're going to a different style. Sounds like it'll just be me talking into a camera. I hope they somehow make me look good, but they all seem to be pleased with the content and the answers, so we'll see. Just also personally interacting with people around me, people I met, they would always tend to ask, well, are you a doctor? No, oh, okay. What are you? Well, I'm a tool engineer. Oh, for medical products? No, for automotive. And so I'd feel compelled to tell them why I was there, and I would usually just say, well, I'm a weight loss story, and I'm a nutritional enthusiast at this point, and I want to learn more. Oh, okay. Then I would show them my I had my before after picture that I show on Twitter, and it was wow, wow, amazing. People people really were interested to see to what extent diet could change someone. And even though they know it, or they live it and they believe it, uh, a lot of people that work in the field who see patients on a daily basis or just around people that that have trouble with weight or health, I think they kind of like to have that confirmation that, yeah, almost impossible, seemingly impossible results are possible just through diet or meal timing and fasting, simple things. So I shared my story with a number of people um, in the audience. Then on the final day, they have a they have a session. It's kind of an open mic uh, at the final hours, and I think they call it 5 minutes of fame. Um, I wasn't really too keen on participating in that. I was watching all of them. There was some interesting stories going on. It was pretty much you come up in 5 minutes, talk about whatever you want to talk about. And so there was a number of different people telling about, whatever. Could be anything. It was kind of random. But I had people that I had shared my story with in the audience, kind of nudging me, go up there, go up there. Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not really one to go up and speak in front of a big audience that's being filmed. But finally, I said, all right, well, that's why I'm here. I guess I should. And people were thinking I got a story to tell. So I went up on the stage, and as it turns out, I did exactly. I spoke. Turned out almost exactly 5 minutes, so I was proud of that. And I told a brief synopsis of my weight loss story, and it got a boy after I left the stage. Suddenly, people were coming up to me in at the final hours of the event and wanting to talk to me. I've got numerous excited people that wanted to talk to me. I have to say I was overwhelmed. There were several doctors, several presenters. Uh, you know, people like Dr. Eric Westman or whatever. I can't think of the names of others, but many people came up to me and said, "Thank you for sharing that, Jim. It was good information, job well done, that kind of thing." We just shared a little bit, but I was a little bit overwhelmed with that. But it was at that point I realized, yes, this was the right thing to do, to come and share. There was definitely an interest in a story, my personal story, and that can be seen. It's on Diet Doctor now. You have to have an account, I believe, to see it. I did hear some people talk. I'm not sure if this is true or not, but they were discussing whether maybe to bring that in front so it can be seen free. My particular part of it, like I said, I'm not sure. There was a lot of things being discussed there at the end, but um, anyway, I got a thrill from that, just that I could contribute something. I had learned a lot and was glad to be there and had a lot of fun being there, but I was glad that there was something from my side to contribute. So that was quite gratifying. I'm really glad I went. So it was a lot of fun. Uh, I learned a lot. I learned that I got a lot of things I want to follow up on and for further study. Would I go again? I don't know. I would consider maybe going to this one again next year, or maybe going to another one, maybe pick a different location. My one somewhat reservation, I'm not a skier, and this is held at a very nice ski resort. Um, and so it's kind of pricey to go when you're paying your own way. So, I don't know. I might go to I might go to another one down the road, maybe not Breckenridge, maybe I'll go to a different one, maybe once per year, or maybe not. I don't know. I'm certainly interested in them. It's quite stimulating. I feel like I'd like to go to all of them, but that's just not practical, and that's not going to happen. But I would recommend it if you've never gone, and to experience one, to do it. It's certainly, I think you'll certainly enjoy it. From my perspective, I wanted to share also, and I did a little of this in the prior video. Going on the road for me, this was 4 days away from home, away from my food, away from my meat-o-matic lifestyle. I had some concerns about that because I think that's the longest away from home I've been on a trip since I've started my journey and been really in control of my food. And, I'm not too concerned at this point about falling off the wagon or whatever, or having any real problems with it or being tempted, but it just, I want to have things my way, and I got used to having things my way. So, and eating at restaurants is different. There's different, you can't always get what you want. So from that standpoint, I think I shared in the last video how it started off for me. The very first day, travel day, I arrived there. It ended up to be late at night, like 9 o'clock, before I even had a chance to consider having dinner, having my one meal a day. And at that point, I decided I don't want to eat. It's too late to eat, and choices were probably not going to be to my liking. So I just skipped eating. I skipped a day and ate the following day. So this is a testament to the power of being a fat burner, of being a one meal a day type person. Food is just not that important. And if you decide to, skipping a day is no big deal. So after that day, the subsequent days, I went down to the restaurant in the hotel there, and fortunately, that place had really good food. They had a ribeye, a 16-ounce bone-in ribeye, 40-day aged. Now, I don't go out to eat that often, and aged steaks I haven't experienced too often, but this was an excellent piece of meat, and it came with other, like onions and mushrooms, and stuff that's not part of my meat-o-matic lifestyle, but I ate that too, because it's not, I can tolerate it, and if I'm in a social situation where this stuff is on my plate, I'm not just going to reject it and say, oh, I can't have any onions or mushrooms because I'm strictly a carnivore. No, I ate that, and it was delicious. But the thing about it, eating once a day at an expensive restaurant tends to, the tab tends to be quite high. I started with something like an appetizer, which was like, they called it was like a meat board. It had different specialty cheeses and different specialty meats and a lot of different goodies on there. So I would eat, that seemed good for a low carb keto type diet. That was a good appetizer. Then I'd have a cup. On my first entree, I would have, it was a pork chop, and it was excellent, a big, thick chop. It was prepared just perfectly. And it did have a little bit of, some kind of an apple substance, apple mixture on it. And it came on a bed of Brussels sprouts that were made in a certain way with kind of a sauce. It was excellent. And now I don't eat plant food anymore, but I ate the Brussels sprouts and had no problem with it, and enjoyed it. I needed something to fill me up. It would have cost me $200 to fill up on just meat at this restaurant. So I ate the Brussels sprouts, I ate the onions and mushrooms and all that stuff, but it did take 2 entrees to get me filled. But I enjoyed myself. Actually, I had the same thing 3 nights in a row because it was just so good. But yeah, I just wanted to add that I was away from home, but I can enjoy myself. I went off the reservation a little bit and had a small amount of plant food. But I've been back home now 4 nights, and I'm back to the meat-o-matic, all animal products, no plants, and I'm fine with it. Um, I just wanted to stress that I'm not so stressed that I can never deviate or have any plant food at all. There might be 3 or 4% of the time where I'm in a situation I might dabble and have that stuff. It's not going to hurt me. Now, there's certain no-nos that I'm never going to do. The desserts, the sweets, alcohol, breads and grains, all that stuff is off. I wouldn't partake in any of that, but I dabble in plant food here and there when the occasion calls for it. But anyway, I enjoyed that part of the trip too. I enjoyed proving to myself that I'm in control of my diet, that I'm not fazed by whatever comes at me, whether it's not time to eat, or if it's not my food choices, I can make the best of it and get by. And I did on this trip. I got by, and in fact, it was quite a bit of fun. Yeah, so that's about it. I mean, I had a lot of fun on this trip, as I hope is you can tell by this update. It was positive. It was tiring. I got home and got back the next day. I had to go to work. I think I didn't get to bed till 10 o'clock Monday night, and had to get up early to go to work on Tuesday. And I needed another vacation, but at that point to recover from the Breckenridge trip. But yeah, I had a great time, and I guess that's about it. Yeah, so I think that'll pretty much do it. Um, I know I picked up a lot of new subscribers to the channel when I was out at Breckenridge. I know some I got tweeted out after I had spoke to the crowd. I know uh, some tweets went out saying that they just saw uh, quite an inspiring story, and I got a lot of notice there and a lot of new subscribers. So thanks to all you folks who tweeted it and to who showed up at the channel. I'm planning, there'll be some more updates at the end of the month. Just to let you know, the end of this month will be, it will be 6 months for me, both in terms of my carnivore meat-o-matic lifestyle, and it'll be 6 months in maintenance, my weight maintenance mode. So I'm going to do an update, a complete update, and I'm going to have some blood work done, and then we'll just drill down and see what I've managed to what's gone on in the past 6 months of carnivore diet combined with 1 meal a day, and am I maintaining or not? So that's coming up. That'll be probably in about 3 weeks, and whatever strikes my fancy between now and then, I'll put up more videos and answer questions as they come to my mind. But anyway, for today, that's all. Thanks to everyone for watching, and thank you for the response and the comments. And I continue to feel some connection with certain people, with certain commenters. It seems like appreciate my style, which is more low key, more not so much in your face. I'm just Joe Blow talking to you and sharing my experiences, and it seems that strikes a chord with some people. and maybe stands out a little bit from some of the other rah-rah type styles that you'll see if you check around on YouTube. Thanks again. Until next time, take care, everybody. Bye now.